Hi, I'm Loraine Rushton, and welcome to the Kids Yoga Teacher Success Series. And why you want to be watching this series is because every series we're going to be bringing to you a successful children's yoga teacher who's going to be sharing with you what they've done, how they've done it, and so that you can do that too. We're going to be sharing with you tools, tips and guidance, things that these teachers have learned to help them do what they do, and so that you can be successful as well. And I am so excited to launch off this series with the most phenomenal, beautiful, inspirational, heartfelt, impactful Mudge from Tidal Yoga in Milton on New South Wales, down the south coast. Welcome, Monica. It is so beautiful to see you. So lovely to have you here. So let's kick off with just maybe tell us a little bit about who you are, what you're up to, what you're doing.
Hi Loraine, thank you. Thank you for asking me to come on and share my story with everyone. My name's Monica, as you just mentioned, and I live on the south coast of New South Wales, about 3.5 hours south of the main city of Sydney. And yeah, I've got a kids yoga studio here in Milton, right in the heart of Milton, and I've been teaching yoga to kids for about, it's nearly over 10 years now. And yeah, I started off with you, Loraine, I think at your very first course.
You did, and that was probably about, we're going back maybe 10 years now. Has it been about 10 years? So I've seen the journey. I've seen you go from walking into that first course and setting up those kids yoga classes, and starting in somebody else's studio and having another job as well as you were doing that, and then how that has changed over the years. So tell us all a little bit about your journey and that pathway.
Yeah, well, shortly after, the reason I started, I guess, was, I wanted to teach my own kids, and I wanted them to go to a class where there was, other kids doing yoga as well, because I used to take them to adults classes and it just didn't seem right because people would get upset if they're a bit noisy and whatnot. So I started teaching with you. I started my course, started teaching shortly after that. And that was basically in schools, in halls, wherever I could really. It didn't really matter where I taught, whether it was community events, lots of community events I started with. And then I thought, you know what, I think I could actually make a bit of a living out of this. So then I pursued more training with you, and then I decided to start teaching in a studio, which wasn't my own, but and then eventually to doing the leadership course with you, Loraine, and 20 other like incredible women, and Lou, of course. And then from there, I took the big leap of faith and opened my own studio. I think I was doing it actually just at the time when you called me about the leadership course, and I went, well, actually, it's a good time to do it. And yeah, since then, I just have not looked back. I quit my corporate job, which I really was not finding any passion in at all. And combined my love of yoga and teaching children about the environment with that as well. And Tidal Yoga was born, and now we've expanded the studio. Our classes are fully booked out. I can't have enough time on the timetable for more classes, so I brought other teachers in now. We've expanded out to family yoga and adults yoga, and the adults yoga look more like kids classes half the time, which is great. Yeah, and that's basically the journey. I would never look back.
So what was it? What made the change from when you were teaching a few classes in schools, you were teaching in somebody else's studio? How many classes a week were you teaching then?
Back then I was teaching about 3, maybe 4 classes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what made the switch? What happened between that moment and you deciding, this is it, I want to open up my own studio, and it's time to make this my career?
Yeah, I think it was just, people were asking me for more classes. I couldn't do it because I was working quite a stressful corporate job at the time. And I really held on to that job thinking that was my security blanket, because that I really needed that income and that stability in my life. But I knew that it wasn't. I knew deep down that it wasn't. And I don't know, I went home, and really thankfully my family were a big part of that. They went, both my kids and my husband said, if this is what you really want to do, you just have to go and do it. And if it doesn't work, well, what does it matter? We'll lose a bit of income. And then I think you rang me that same day and an opportunity for a lease came up. And I was just like, you know what, all these planets really are aligning. So I'm just going to jump in and do it. And I did. And yeah, I got a job. Actually, my boss fired me, believe it or not, because I knew that I wanted to cut back my hours. But he said, you know what, you're going to be too busy. I think you may as well just leave. And I went, okay, well, that made it easy for me.
I love this. There were so many defining moments right at that moment. The studio, remember the studio where you were teaching the kids yoga classes, changed hands at the time, and it was difficult to just negotiate with them. I never knew that your boss actually, decided there was that moment where your boss said, look, it's so not going to work, and off you go. And but I knew that you had that support, and it must have been beautiful for your. But here's the thing that I also love is that you were getting these messages from the universe. There was such a clear, it's time to do this, but you did it. And that's the moment when so many people hold back and stay in that place of fear, but you didn't. You jumped in, you said, no, I'm going to do this. It's time. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And that takes courage. So congratulations.
I think what happens when you do that, Loraine, is you have to make it work. If you're really passionate about it and it's what you love, and you make that big leap of faith, nothing's going to stop it from working, because you really want it to happen. So, I felt that all along. This was never going to not work. And there's so many kids that need people to teach yoga to them. So,
and what age? I love that. And that's such a good message. If you're listening to this, it's that moment of you just make it work. And if you know it's your thing, you're seeing the signs, you know it's your passion, then you get out there and you make it work. So let's get into, if you were going to give people your top tips, and they were starting out on this journey, had that passion inside to help kids, love yoga, were thinking about setting up a business, what tips, what would you give them?
I think first of all, definitely do the training, and do as much training as you can, because that gives you the confidence to know that you have the skills behind you to really make it work, and you have the support of a yoga family, which is really, really important in especially teaching kids yoga. And plus, you get to bounce off other people, which is really important as well. Knowledge sharing is that yarning between each other is so important. The other thing, I guess, is really believe in yourself, and don't ever undersell yourself, and believe that what you're offering is a really valuable tool for young people and families. Without a doubt, they need more of it. And find where your passion is in terms of teaching. Do you want to teach in schools? Is that where you really want to teach? Or do you want to teach outside of the school framework, or both, And then just explore what's around and write things down. If you want to achieve something, or you have a dream, write it down, journal it, do whatever you got to do, because once you do that, trust me, the universe gets out of your way and it makes it happen. So, and don't have imposter syndrome ever. There's no room for imposter syndrome.
And and let people know a little bit. I know we're hearing a bit about this imposter syndrome. How did that show up, and how did you overcome that?
Oh, look, imposter syndrome was a big part of my life, especially in this, because I've been in the corporate world my whole life and was really good at that job. But didn't back myself in this work, even though other people did. I didn't. And yeah, you've got to just kind of step away from that and get out of your own way and get out of your own head in terms of that, and truly believe in what you have to offer. As long as your intention is good and you know what your intention is, everything is about intention, then just believe in that. And whatever anybody else thinks about it is none of your business. And professional development always helps as well. I've really found that. So I started off, I wasn't an adults teacher, and I started off just purely as a kids yoga teacher, which for me was the most phenomenal gift, because I spent a good solid 8 years just teaching kids. And for a while there, I thought I wasn't good enough because all I did was teach kids. But now that I teach adults as well, oh my gosh, you know, like anybody that can teach yoga to children, never underestimate the power that you have there in terms of changing little people's lives and families.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. I hear that so much on people undervaluing themselves because of thinking that there's something that they're not good enough because they're teaching children's yoga, or they don't value themselves enough because they're teaching children's yoga. Whereas you know that I think that it's the most valuable thing in the world. So your classes, so you teach from little ones all the way through to teens and now adults as well?
Yeah, I teach from 3-year-olds right up to adults. So I go
What's your favourite age?
I can't actually say that. I really can't. I love all of them. They're all so different. The developmental stages are so different. I really don't have a favourite. I love them all. I really do, for different reasons. So I love my little tiny tots because they just get it. They get yoga. They just get it, not just in terms of their flexibility, but even, you know, they just get that feeling. It's really beautiful. People will think it's hard to teach to 3-year-olds, but it's so not. It's so rewarding. Yeah, and then as you go up, you know, the 5 to 8-year-olds, their imaginations are still amazing. You can play lots of fun games with them. And then as you get to that 8 to 12-year-old, you know, they're starting to figure out their own identity and exploring that in the world. And that's really beautiful as well. And then you get into high school, and there's different developmental stages through that age group as well. But you get into the really nitty-gritty stuff with them. They're all amazing.
What makes a successful class, and how have the classes, or how have things changed? How has yoga changed for children and teens, do you think, over the last 10 years in terms of what they need?
I think I would honestly say that in terms of parents enrolling their children, when they fill out their enrolment form, 80% of the parents tick that their children have anxiety. So often I see that sometimes not necessarily the case. It's kind of an impression of what parents might see as being anxiety, but really it's just normal childhood. But things are amplified through the parents' stress and the worries that they have in the world, and, you know, especially at the moment. So I think probably how things have changed, it's really about teaching kids techniques or awareness in their body of how that anxiety or those feelings feel in their bodies, and how they can literally change it just with 10 minutes of yoga. And they get it, they do it, and their parents come back and they tell me that they're doing it at home and it's changed their life. And that's not a hard sell. That's absolutely the truth. And the thing that I will say, you know, what makes a successful yoga class is for the teacher to be authentic. Be authentic, you know, however you deliver, it's your authenticity that has to come out. We have a framework, and your beautiful training, you know, is this beautiful framework for, you know, a class structure, but you have to deliver it authentically. And once you do that in your own authentic way with intention, it's always beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I see. I often I'm interested in what you think makes up a successful class, because there are so many different approaches to teaching children's yoga. And at Zenergy, you get trained in structure that makes up a successful children's yoga class, and also how important it is to do more than game-based yoga, but also to really give them the tools that they need for what is happening in the world today, or in their lives, of what's going on with them today. And to really, if you want to make an impact and be a yoga teacher that makes a lasting difference, then to be able to teach classes that give them those real benefits and real tools of what yoga really provides. But I also love the authenticness of being you, really being you when you're teaching, not trying to be anybody else, which you do beautifully. And you also bring in all your other things that you're passionate about. I see you posting classes and workshops where you're combining art therapy and combining things that about the teaching and educating about the environment. How successful is that? How are they going?
Oh, look, to me, yoga off the mat is equally as important as what we do on the mat. So for me to bring those other elements into a yoga class makes it a holistic approach to getting the message across to kids, and helping them to believe in themselves as well, and giving them the opportunity to express themselves. And there's a lot of eco-anxiety, that's what I'm seeing, with a lot of young people, particularly teenagers, that they're really worried about their future in terms of the environment and, pandemics and bushfires and all those sorts of things. So looking at raising the vibration a little bit through all the things that, I love, and gifting that to the children, I just see them flourish. And there's been some incredible leaders come out of this studio, which I'm really proud of, because they've been able to express those thoughts and ideas and sit with them in their yoga class as well.
How have you had students who stayed with you for a year, 2 years?
Yeah, so one of the reasons I started teaching adults classes was because I had all my yoga graduates coming through that were finishing year 12 and had been with me since day one, basically. So they've gone from primary school right through high school, and I didn't want them to stop coming to my classes, so I thought I really have to put some adult classes on the timetable so I can keep seeing them, because I love them. They're like my own children. Yeah. You
are such an important, incredible part of their life. What a gift for you to be able to see these beautiful things grow up and be part of their lives as they grow up. But how gorgeous for them to have you. I would have loved you when I was growing up. I would have loved you to have been my teacher and guiding me as I go through. So let's wrap up. Monica, can you share what's one of your highlights, one of your standout moments of all the years of teaching?
Oh my gosh, that's a really hard question to
I know.
I've got so many. Oh my gosh. I think there's one actually that I think I shared with you a long time ago, and I was only thinking about it the other day, so it's funny that you asked me, is that when I first started teaching yoga to kids, I was also teaching Buddhist scripture at the public school at Milton. And I'd take my yoga classes, I'd kind of sneak into the school that way and do yoga because it was really hard to get yoga in. So I inadvertently we'll just happen to do a bit of yoga in Buddhist scripture, which the kids obviously loved, and it enabled them to drop into meditation really easily. But yeah, there was a young boy there who I never used to think listened very much, but that's one thing you should always remember. Sorry, I'm going off the beaten track, but as a teacher of children, even when you think they're not listening to you, or you think they're not paying attention, or they really hate it, don't ever discount it, because that's what this little boy used to be like. And he became an adult, left school, and he messaged me, found me on social media, sent me a message, and he'd moved overseas. And he sent me the most incredible letter or message of gratitude and explaining how much he loved those classes and loved doing the yoga and the meditation, and that as an adult now he thinks about it all the time, and he goes to yoga and he loves his practice. And for me, there's no better reward. So he's
Oh, that's divine. Did I know that? I can remember your classes, and I can remember you having troubles, and I can remember you know, working with those kids. I don't know whether I ever heard that he sent you a letter.
Oh, maybe not. I think I told you another story about the young Indigenous boy, actually. That was a
You did. Yeah, that was the one I thought you were going to tell.
Yeah.
That's gorgeous.
And that's
the impact you make, the impact that you make that you don't even know about, that I often will say in courses, that you just know that the depth that you're doing this work at, it goes in. And you may know, you may never know. And I love that somebody took the time, you made that much of an impact to him. Whatever was going on in his life, whatever was going on in his world, that it was there and it stayed there. And now that he's older, he recognised it, but he took the time to write to you and found you. Isn't that gorgeous?
It is. And it's a two-way street. I can't even begin to tell you how much they inspire me daily, and so many stories.
One that I loved recently was I saw you post a video of a little boy with, was it cerebral palsy? And you were doing some yoga therapy with him. And
that's little Dax. He's contracted CMV in the womb, so he was born with a huge array of disability, but he's absolutely beautiful. Oh my gosh, and we love him so much. We've been doing a lot of yoga therapy with him, and it's been phenomenal for him and his family, and they continue to do it at home every day. Oh gosh, he's just adorable, and I'm so grateful for my yoga therapy training, if for nothing, for Dax.
The little things that become big things when you're somebody with such contraction or and that can just make that difference. Yeah, I loved that video. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Thank you for shining your beautiful light out into the world, for making such a difference to all those hundreds and thousands of children that you've seen over the years and continue to see, who are now adults, and that they're going to be passing it on. It's divine. Thank you, beautiful.
Thank you, Loraine.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your wisdom and your, kindness and guidance over the years. And for anybody who's watching this, and you're just thinking about making these big steps, just do it. Just do it. Such a short life to not be doing what you love.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.